This video is more advanced troubleshooting for a battery. We're going to dig into the battery a little bit and check some different things. You should really only do this after talking to us to make sure it's okay to do with your particular kind of battery and in your case of what's happening. So if you look at the battery and the charger here, I still want to start with simple stuff. So if you haven't yet, you definitely should check the voltage of the battery. So if you connect here to pins 1 and 2 of the charging port carefully, you'll see that we have the battery voltage off of pins 1 and 2, and you can also measure the battery voltage off of here. Basically, for a fully charged battery, we want to see about 39 volts. If it just came off the charger, it should be a little higher, about 41 volts. And that's a good check to make sure that there's nothing really seriously wrong. The next thing that we would probably want to do is check the charger. And now with the charger, it's really smart every once in a while to just unplug it completely, make sure the light's out, plug it back in. It's a smart charger. It goes through different phases of checking the battery and charging it using different methods based on what the battery needs. So sometimes it can get confused, get stuck in a certain place and not do anything. So let it shut down. And now, again, and I'm going to use this meter, which will be a little easier to see so that you can watch the change on it, because this is nice and big. So you see we're at 39 volts, nice fully charged battery that's been sitting around for a couple of weeks at this point. And now when I hook it up, you should see the voltage start to go up. Cool. We quickly went up to 44 volts, and the light is flashing green to tell us, hey buddy, you just plugged in a fully charged battery, I'm not going to do anything. But what we did see was the voltage go up. So we know that the battery charger is working properly, so that's a good sign. You can't test the charger directly with your multimeter by hooking it up to here. You're not going to get good numbers. We can do that real quick just to see. And basically on the meter we're getting 44 volts sometimes, we're getting 2 volts a lot of the time, getting 1 volt. It's not a reliable way to test the charger because the charger doesn't want to put out any juice if it's not hooked up to a battery. That's to protect you from electrocuting yourself. So what we really want to show you in this video though is, let's say that your range is really diminished. And right now I'm reading 44 volts on the battery when it's on the charger. I'm reading 39 volts when it's not hooked up to the charger. But I go for a ride and I only get 4 or 5 miles out of it. Not a good sign. It's less range than I used to have. The battery seems to be aging in some way. And we've tested this, and we've talked to you, and we're going to recommend that you cut your battery open very carefully with an exacto knife. Now you can see where the wires are here on top of the battery. So you want to make your cuts on the back of the battery, where you can cut without cutting into the wires. And then when you cut across the top, you want to just very carefully make a shallow cut. Because if you cut these wires, sparks fly, bad things happen. So now we've very carefully peeled it back. And what we want to test is to see that the individual cells here are equal. So since the battery is fully charged, we're going to get around, at this point, we should probably be getting around 12 volts per battery. And there we go. Getting 13 on each. And the phone's ringing in the background. And so each of these, I'm just going to redo each so that you can get an idea of how close they are. Got 13.08, 13.07, and 13.05. So this is a battery that's really close to being balanced. Now the charger is going to control that a lot of the time. It'll go through an equalization phase where it'll slightly overcharge the battery and it'll bring the low cells up to be equal. Right now we see that the battery is equal. Now let's imagine that the battery was fully charged and we had 13.08, 13.07, and 12.5. The one that's way low, 12.5, that's not working properly. And if you've left it on the charger for a couple hours and it's gone through equalization and it's still reading lower than the others, then that one needs to be replaced. That one's causing a problem. The other way we can do this is, let's say we drain the battery all the way down. So we end up at around 34 volts after riding the bike until the battery goes out. Then you should be getting like 11.3, 11.3, 11.3. But let's say again, one is lower. So maybe the battery conks out at 36 volts. And one of these is down at 11.3, and the other is at 12 and 12. You've got a problem there. So what we can do in this case is, now that we know which one is low, you can call us up and we can talk to you a little bit about how to remove this one battery carefully and replace it with a new one. But the thing to take home here is to, I don't know if we can get a closer shot here, on when you're inside here, you just do black to red and you get a reading. You can see 13 volts, black to red, and you get a reading, black to red, black to black, red to red, sorry. Yeah. And that'll tell you what each of the individual batteries is doing. Thanks.